Hi learners, this is Dr. Ramesh Babu Damarla, Professor of Practice from SR University, Warangal, India. I welcome you to this lecture on facility location decision. I hope you must have seen the previous lecture on production and operations management on YouTube. So this lecture is about how manufacturing facilities location should be decided, what should be strategic parameter for that. Various parameters we'll be discussing in this. So basically, manufacturing facility decision is a strategic decision for every company. When a company is manufacturing tangible products, so definitely we need to decide where it should be located and how many number of facilities, and that it should be strategically located so that receiving raw materials, transportation, then making it to reach to the destinations and the customer points, to the distribution network. Various factors need to be thoroughly analyzed before taking a decision to build a factory or manufacturing location or a warehouse location or a distribution center location. So a facility to be created at a place definitely connected with all the important other elements of the supply chain. So basically, facility location is a crucial strategic decision for any organization because it impacts the operational efficiency of the company, cost structure, customer service, and overall competitiveness. So this facility location decision, this involves determining the optimal geographic placement of facilities, such as manufacturing plant or factory, warehouse, retail store, service centers, and offices. So these decisions are typically long-term in nature, and they require careful consideration of various factors. See, sometime it happens. A company may open up their retail stores in a place, but it is far away from a city or town. People don't want to travel far away. So the retail store may not be fully utilizing its potential. Or a manufacturing plant is located at a place maybe near to the market. But bringing raw materials from far away is too expensive. Then a company cannot be competitive in the market, placing their product at competitive price with the competitors. So that's why you can see all the thermal power stations are definitely located near the coal mines. In India, you can see wherever coal mines are there, so thermal power stations are located nearby, so that the raw material transportation will not be expensive. Otherwise, it will be expensive. Basically, all the entrepreneurs or businessmen locate their enterprises where the cost of production comes the lowest at the time of establishing the enterprise. What the meaning of this? Businessmen definitely need to locate their facility where overall supply chain cost is low. Neither it should be too far away from the customer, nor too far away from the raw materials, or deserted, isolated places where all your supply chain costs are high. One need to balance this with various methods. So in this lecture, we will learn those techniques and methods, how to strategically locate and optimally locate a facility with the least cost. So this decision is called location of industries decision. So this selection of this industrial location or facility location is a strategic decision. Once we take the decision and install a facility, now retracting back again will be costly, very expensive. Now let us see the impact of this decision, factory location decision or facility location decision or warehouse location decision. It affects the overall competitiveness, customer service, operational efficiency, and cost structure. Cost structure. When we are locating a facility, deciding where to construct, definitely Once it is constructed, retracting becomes unnecessarily expensive. Once you build something and it is not operationally useful, then you cannot collapse, or it will be a loss-making thing. So it affects the profitability also. And this decision also affects operational efficiency, like productivity and resource uses. You need to use raw materials, machinery, various manufacturing methods. You need to use manpower. You involve money, all 5 M's. If you're not able to, make it efficient way, you manufacture high quantity at reasonable time, so we cannot be competitive in the market. So all the FMCG goods we can see, simple potato chips and with wonderful packing, you get at a reasonable price. The reason is these locations are properly made. For example, potato chips. The plant should be near to the potato growing area, or making of mango products, mango juice, mango nectar, etc. The location should be near to the mango orchards to the extent possible. Should not be far away. That's what I mean. That customer service. If a service center is located, for a car center, service center located, but it is far away from the customers, so customers' dissatisfaction can increase. Accessibility will be poor if your service center is far away from the users. Then overall competitiveness. So this affects the market position of your company, and definitely competitive advantage. If the location is properly done, you will be taking the competitive advantage, better market position, market share, and income. Now let us see the list of factors influencing this location decisions. Let us see the broad categorization. First one is proximity to the markets. How close is your facility to the market? This is applicable for those products where raw material transportation is not costly. If the raw material transportation is costly, place the facility near to the raw material location. Otherwise, place the facility near to the market. Near to the market. Proximity to the suppliers, that is raw materials. Wherever raw material movement or transportation is costly, relatively try to locate your facility near to the raw material. For example, thermal power stations, mango juice plants, sugar factories where sugar is manufactured, or agriculture produce processing. Then labor costs and availability. The labor includes unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled manpower. This will become expensive where manpower is not available. We need to move people there. People may not be interested to work in a place where it is deserted or isolated from the cities or from towns, where labor is locally not available, trained manpower is not available, education institutions are not there to train people. Such areas will affect negatively. So one need to see, is manpower available in that area where we are going to locate this facility? We need to see that. Then transportation infrastructure, either to bring the raw materials or to move the goods to the destinations. We need to see whether required transportation facilities are available, like vehicles, trucks. We need to see that. And also, roads are available, railway connectivity is available. We need to see. And utilities and infrastructure. Utilities like power supply from electricity board or department, water supply from the municipality, or whether groundwater available if the bore wells are done. Then utilities like sewerage, drainage by local authorities, and infrastructure like nearby industry support or industrial estate, industrial area. Then internet connectivity. So all this comes under infrastructure availability. Then government incentives and regulations. This is also important. Every government, whether it is state or central, government supports to the industries, new industries. So we need to check what kind of regulations are there in a particular state or district or that area. Certain special economic zones are supported with more subsidies, grants, tax-free zones, reasonable price for electricity charges and water charges, etc. Such kind of incentives and regulations the entrepreneur need to see so that we can locate our facility where government gives more incentives. For example, pharma zone. If you start a company in a pharma zone, that pharma zone will have facilities for pharma companies where you will be benefited through incentives and grants. Another important parameter is land cost and availability. So to set up a facility, to make a mall, building, cinema theater, or rice mill, or a car manufacturing facility, or bike manufacturing facility, or mango juice processing facility, you need land to make the buildings, correct? And warehouses. So what is the cost of the land? That also matters. If you want to set up a facility in urban area, center of the urban area, that will be very, very expensive, maybe 100 times than rural place. At the same time, in rural place, land may be cheaply available, but it may be far away from market. This need to be seen. Means we need to consider all these parameters before taking the decision. Then quality of the life. So employees think about this. If you set up a software company in a rural place, the software employees may not feel good, staying there because their family members definitely need recreation, entertainment, and medical facilities and urban area, malls, definitely recreation, entertainment, all these, medical facilities, schools, good quality schools, all these employees will bother us. So quality of life also matters for employees so that wherever we are setting up the facility, we need to see the quality of the life there. And political and economic stability. This also need to be seen. All the states, all the districts, all the places may not be politically supporting the industries. We need to see. And economic stability also need to be seen. Whenever government changes in certain states, there are political instability, economic instability that affects the industry. Whenever taxation is changed, only once in India it is done. So it affects certain industries. We need to see and consider that. Now let us see what is the importance of location decisions. First one is cost reduction. When we plan and locate the facility at an appropriate place, that reduces the transportation cost, labor cost, and material cost. Another important point is improved customer service. So locating facilities closer to the customers can lead to faster delivery times and better service. When a customer feels good and gives good feedback, good word of mouth publicity, company gets more customers, more business, more turnover, and more profits. Definitely enhance the customer service. And revenue enhancement. So a well-chosen location can attract more customers and increase the sales. Another strategic importance is competitive advantage. So optimal location can provide a competitive edge by enabling better access to resources, access to markets, access to skilled labor. Then supply chain optimization. So location decisions influence the efficiency and effectiveness of entire supply chain, right from tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, transportation, warehouse for raw materials, manufacturing facility, finished goods warehouse, from their transportation, distribution centers, warehouses, retailers, various transportation mechanisms, all these are supply chain elements. So this facility location definitely affects the supply chain optimization. Now let us see this factors influencing the location decisions. As we discussed, you can see again, first one is proximity to the market. Definitely increases customer base, and market demand, then proximity to suppliers. So definitely bringing raw materials at reasonable price, supply chain efficiency, then supplier relations also needs to be seen. However, these both are contradictory. Near to market and near to supplier are both 180 degrees away. So one need to take a decision cautiously. There are various methods for this. Whether we should place near to market, if you have reasonable cost for transportation of raw materials, then only. If that is expensive, keep near the suppliers and use supply chain logistics to transport the goods to the markets. Then low labor costs and availability. Various cities, various towns, various places will have different wage rates and different skilled people are available. One need to see this before taking this decision. If a high-tech car factory is made, but you don't have skilled manpower there, can be expensive to bring engineers from foreign countries. And transportation infrastructure like road network, rail and air access, all these are important. Then utilities like power supply, water supply, internet connectivity, sewage connection, drainage connection. Then government incentives like tax benefits, environmental regulations need to be considered. Then land costs and availability. Sometimes you need not buy the land, take on lease or rental, but still you need to see how expensive it is, what are the laws for that zone, all that. And quality of life for the employees, definitely education, healthcare should be available nearby. Now let us see point by point in detail. Proximity to the market. First one is customer base. So locating the facility closer to the target market can reduce the transportation cost of the finished goods transportation. Okay, finished goods transportation after manufacturing. That cost will come down. And this will improve the responsiveness to the customer needs. This is the positive aspect of this keeping near to the markets. Then market growth. Consider areas where high growth potential to capitalize on future demand. So try to identify. And competitor locations. Try to analyze the competitor for the similar products to identify opportunities and avoid direct competition in the saturated markets. This is important. Wherever markets are already saturated, if there are 10 restaurants in a row, right? Keeping the 11th restaurant neighbor to it may not be a good idea. It might have saturated. Another factor is proximity to the suppliers. Suppliers can be raw material suppliers, standard component suppliers, machinery suppliers, etc. So, raw material suppliers. For industries that rely heavily on raw materials, locating near suppliers can reduce the transportation costs. Like I said, for thermal power station, coal is one of the important raw material. For mangoes, mango juice manufacturing, juice processing, mangoes. Similarly, paddy processing, dehusking, sugarcane, making into sugar. All these transportation will become expensive if you look at it further. So this also ensures a stable supply. Okay. Then component suppliers. Keeping our facility near to the standard spares, parts, and component suppliers, it can streamline the manufacturing process. It can reduce the lead times. Then labor costs and availability. First parameter is wage rates. Lower labor costs can significantly reduce overall operating expenses. In metros, if you look at the same facility, it costs X. If possible, and if you can locate near rural area where the labor wage rates will be lower, much lower. If that is suiting other parameters, then skill availability. Ensure the availability of skilled workforce to meet the specific needs of the facility. If you are building a food factory, see that food handling, hygiene experts in that area are available. If you are making bricks, then unskilled labor are required for that. Accordingly, need to be seen. If you are building a software-related office, then definitely see that software engineers, business analysts, data analysts are available in that area. Another important parameter under labor availability cost is labor regulations. One needs to consider the labor laws and regulations. That includes minimum wages related to their unions, authorized unions, and worker safety standards. These need to be maintained. Next important parameter is transportation infrastructure. We need to see roads and highways, railways, airports, and ports. These are the required things for transporting either raw materials or finished goods. So roads and highways. we need to see access to well-developed road network, because the vehicles to reach your facility bringing raw materials, or the vehicles carrying the finished goods from the manufacturing plant to other location, or the vehicles coming to the warehouse or going from warehouse, or vehicles coming to the distribution network point and from there. So it should have well connectivity with the roads and highways. Another important mode is railways. So rail transport can be cost effective for long distance shipping of bulk goods. So if you have to transport long distance the bulk goods, see that your facility is near to some rail siding or railway loading point or railway container ICD, inland container depot. Airports. Proximity to airports is important for industries that require fast delivery of goods or frequent travel. For example, perishable produce, ice creams, milk products, vaccines, certain chemicals, expensive materials like diamonds and gold. So for these items, wherever we have little time to transport intercontinental or between two countries, so near to airport having location will become important aspect. Wherever frequent travel is involved for the goods, make sure that your facility is located near the airport. Then seaports. So coastal locations, wherever sea coast is accessible to the ports, are advantages for international trade, either for importing or exporting. Another important parameter is utilities and infrastructure. First one is availability of utilities, then telecommunications infrastructure. Ensure access to reliable and affordable utilities such as electricity supply. In some cases, CNG gas may be required for the processing. Steel plants require, lot of either coal or natural gas or diesel, petrol or fuel or CNG, and also other utilities like water supply, required. So definitely we have to see that these things are available there, then only take the decision of locating that facility there. If we look at a facility where a lot of water is required, but groundwater is not available, municipality will not supply regularly, one should not locate their facility there. And telecommunication infrastructure. The robust telecommunication infrastructure is essential for modern business operations like software development, business analyst operations, service operations, etc. Another important aspect is government incentives and regulations. Tax incentives. Governments often offer tax breaks and other incentives to attract businesses to specific locations. So these are either special zones, government supports this. For example, Dayu and Daman in India, Mumbai Special Economic Zone, Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone, Gujarat Special Economic Zone. So where taxes are less in this area, government want to develop that area with industry. So government provides incentives if you start a business there. So entrepreneur need to identify such and consider such parameters so that tax is low and tax incentives are taken the benefit by the organization. Then environmental regulations. We need to consider all the environmental regulations and permission requirements, because if you want to start a chemical industry, government specifies it should not be close to densely populated area. So that we need to consider. And how, whether the industry is going to affect the environment, what are the laws for air pollution, water pollution, ground pollution, noise pollution. One need to consider all the parameters. Another important one is zoning laws. Ensure that we are complying with the local zoning laws and regulations, either municipality rules, district authority, state authority rules, forest department authority rules, electrical department rules and regulations, and municipality rules and regulations. One need to follow. One need to follow the law of the country and law of the states also. Another important parameter is land costs and availability. Land prices is one of the important parameters. When an entrepreneur starts their business, their money is spent immediately on two things: setting up the facility, construction, purchase of raw materials, to buy a land for that facility to construct. So one need to see how expensive is the land, what the cost of the land. Is it worth to buy it at such an urban place? Or is it available at a rural place at a better price? One need to see. This has to be balanced with near to the raw materials and other factors also. So availability of suitable land. Ensure the availability of land that meets the specific requirements of the facility. And quality of the life. Education, access to the good schools and universities can definitely attract and retain employees. Without this, employees would not be, coming to that place to work unless their family needs are satisfied. Healthcare, so availability of quality healthcare services, good quality hospitals, availability of hospital services for emergency care. All these are important consideration for employees. Recreation and amenities, access to recreational activities like cinema theaters, malls, or clubs, or amusement parks or parks. All these are important for the quality of the life of the employees and their families. And political and economic stability is another important parameter. First one is political risk. Always consider the political stability of the region and the potential for political unrest. Need to see, look into. Economic conditions. Analyze the economic conditions of the region, including GDP growth, inflation, and unemployment rates. Then decide. Now let us see some of the methods and techniques used for deciding factory or facility location. Several methods are used, like factor rating method. This is the most simple and widely used method to decide where to locate the facility. So this involves assigning weightage to these 9 factors and then rating each location based on these factors. The process goes like this. I repeat, assign the weights for each parameter, those 9 parameters, near to raw materials, near to this, near to availability of infrastructure, near to roadways, near to customers, land cost, all these. Give weightage for each parameter, then rating each location based on these factors. Okay. The process is identify relevant location factor. First, you identify which are the factors affecting our facility. Then assign weight for each factor based on its importance. If your product is to be more considered based on raw material transportation costs, give more weightage to that point. If you want your facility to be available near to the customers, give more weightage to. Okay. Then rate each location on each factor. So out of 9 factors, 6 factors are to be important for your facility. For all these 6, give the rating weightage using a predetermined scale. So calculate the weight score for each location. So for example, you have opportunity to locate at 4 places. 1 rural, 1 urban place, 1 near raw material, 1 near to customer market. These 4 give weightage. Then for each one you calculate. Okay, then weight score for each location by multiplying the rating by the weight for each factor and summing the results. Then select the location with the highest weight score. Means we'll be compromising on certain factors, but we see that optimally it is benefiting for important factors. So error will be less. The advantage of this method is easy to understand and implement because it considers both qualitative and quantitative factors. The qualitative factors are near to this. Quantitative are how important it is. However, there are disadvantages with this method, like subjective weights and ratings can be biased. Sometimes we give a subjective weight for a parameter unknowingly. So this also influences the result. These are the various methods used. Quantitative methods and quantitative methods. Under qualitative methods, we have factor rating method, Delphi method, expert judgment. Under quantitative methods, we have optimization models, heuristic models, and simulation models. Now let us see another method which is called load distance method. So this is a quantitative method that evaluates locations based on the distance between the facility and its customers or suppliers. Distance between facility and its customers or suppliers. Weighed by the volume of goods or services exchanged. How much volume are handling, how much distance, this combination is taken. So the process is identify potential locations, determine the coordinates of each location, and the locations of the customers or suppliers, calculate the distance between each location and each customer or supplier using a distance metric like Euclidean distance or rectilinear distance. Then multiply the distance by the volume. Distance, raw material 1000 tons you want to bring, kilometers is 100 kilometers. Dispatch of your final goods, 500 tons, distance is 10,000 kilometers. Now multiply this will give you actual picture of weighment. Then calculate the total load distance score, load multiplied by distance score for each location. Then select the location with the lowest total load distance score, This is the method. So this has got advantages like it considers volume of the goods, relatively easy to implement. And limitations are, it does not consider qualitative factors. So it assumes linear transportation cost. Let us see another method, that is the center of gravity method. This method is used to determine the optimal location for a single facility based on the locations of multiple customers or suppliers. Single facility with multiple suppliers or multiple customers. The process is identify the locations of the customers and suppliers, the places, determine the coordinates of each location, calculate the weighted average of the coordinates using volume of goods or services exchanged as weights. So the resulting coordinates represent the center of gravity, which is the optimal location, CG. Advantage is simple to calculate. It considers volume of goods or services exchanged. There are limitations like it does not consider qualitative factors and it assumes linear transportation cost. So it's only suitable for single facility. If you want 4 facilities to be considered, this cannot be used. Say 4 manufacturing plants, 3 distribution points, 5 warehouses. Further, this is not suitable. Another one is break-even analysis. This is a method used to compare the cost and revenue of different locations to determine the break-even point. The step-by-step procedure is first identify the fixed and variable costs associated with each location, estimate the revenue potential for each location, calculate the break-even point for each location, and compare the break-even point and select the location with the lowest break-even point or highest potential profit. It has got advantages like consider both cost and revenue, then break-even. It has a clear understanding of the financial implication of each location. This is much better method. There are limitations like it requires accurate cost and revenue estimate. With that only, this will be better. If you have poor cost and revenue estimates, it will not reflect properly. Another method is transportation. It is a linear programming technique. It is used to minimize the cost of transporting goods from multiple sources to multiple destinations. The procedure is like this. First, define the sources like manufacturing plants and destinations, warehouses. Then determine the supply capacity of each source and demand requirements of each destination. Then estimate the transportation cost per unit between each source and each destination. Formulate a linear programming model, it's a mathematical model, to minimize the total transportation cost while satisfying the supply and demand constraints. Then solve the linear programming model using a solver. There are benefits like it optimizes the transportation costs, it considers supply and demand constraints. However, there are disadvantages like it requires specialized software. It gives accurate results. One can invest in this. And expertise is required. It can be complex to implement. Another method is geographic information system, which is a powerful tool for analyzing and visualizing geographic data to support location decisions. It has got capabilities like mapping and spatial analysis, data integration and visualization, proximity analysis, network analysis, site selection. However, there are disadvantages like, advantages like a comprehensive view of geographic data facilitates data-driven decision making, with the little disadvantage like it requires specialized software and expertise. It can be expensive. Let me summarize this session of plant location decision or facility location decision. The facility location decision is a critical strategic decision that can significantly impact organization success. At wrong place, if you place a warehouse or distribution center or manufacturing plant, lifelong that will suffer due to optimization issues. So by carefully considering the various factors influencing location decision and utilizing appropriate methods and techniques, as discussed above, organizations can select optimal locations that align with the strategic goals and objectives. A well-chosen location can lead to reduced costs, improved customer service, enhanced revenue, and a sustainable competitive advantage. With this, I'll be closing this session here. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy my lectures on production and operations management, project management, and intellectual property right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.